All right, guys, welcome back into another episode of To The Show Baseball Podcast presented by Beyond the Monster. I am your host, Andrew Parker. In today's episode, I was joined by Carter Rasmussen. He was a 14th round pick by the Red Sox in 2025. And so we do kind of talk about him joining the Red Sox org. And, obviously he hasn't debuted yet. So we talked a lot about, getting there, what kind of pitcher he is, things like that, what Red Sox fans should expect to see whenever he does debut in 2026. But before I do shoot over to the interview, whether you're watching me right now on YouTube or listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever it is, hit that like, hit that subscribe button, drop a comment. I'm making a big push on YouTube right now on the subscriber count. So it's a newer channel. So any likes and subscribes, comments, anything helps out a ton. But without further ado, let me shoot you on over to the interview with Carter Rasmussen. All right, I am joined by Carter Rasmussen, and he is a recent draftee of the Red Sox 2025 draft class, and you haven't debuted yet, so this is why we got you here. I wanted to kind of pick the brain a little bit, see how things were. I know you're back home right now, back in Texas for the offseason. So how are things going for you at the moment?
It's going great, just doing those off-season workouts, kind of preparing to report back to Florida, and good to kind of see family, see friends, all that stuff, but also ready to get back and compete and get ready for my debut.
Yeah, that's I will ask you a little bit about potentially debut. Well, you will be debuting in 2026, but I did want to dive into a little bit. Obviously, you're 2025. Obviously we're only a couple weeks away from 2026. So your 2025 season. You finished your last year in college. You got drafted. You turned professional. I feel like there were a lot of things that happened to you this year. Can you kind of walk me back through? I guess, just going from, your last season in college to being drafted by the Red Sox and where you are now. Are you a little tired? Are you exhausted? Has it been a whirlwind for you this year?
It's definitely been a big change. It feels like just a year and a half ago, I was in the transfer portal, kind of trying to find a place to land, and Wofford was absolutely great for me and had a great season there, and kind of out of the blue was not even on my mind of being able to play professional baseball this year. And luckily a lot of things aligned. I got a little bit better. So it's still kind of a little bit of a blur. And even now I feel like I'm just waiting to go back to school. So hopefully that kind of wears off eventually.
Yeah, I feel like that's it. You bring it up. Like, I've been in that position before as well. It's like, you finish up your last year of school and you're just like, all right, are we starting classes again? Like, this is weird. Like, some of my friends are still in classes and you're kind of like, well, I got nothing to do right now until I go back. But
yeah, it's been a really long summer for some reason.
Yeah, it never ends. But your college journey is unique to me because you obviously are from the great state of Texas, where there is I learned this when I lived down there. There's about 1 million different schools in Texas to choose from, and you go to Brown, which I mean, obviously for academic purposes, I'm assuming. But and then obviously you finish off at Wooford. But can you kind of talk about like how a guy from from the Dallas-Fort Worth area ends up at Brown and ends up in the Carolinas at Wooford?
Yeah. So I guess out of high school, I knew I wanted to play baseball. I knew I kind of had the higher academic side. But I also still wanted to hit back when I was in high school. So kind of, searching around two ways. It was just after COVID, so there was still some remnants of that. And Brown just happened to be kind of the best offer I had. And so went up there and had 2 years up there, ended up just not really being the perfect fit for me. Kind of wanted to, do something else, didn't love it up there. Went into the transfer portal, kind of, thinking I was a little bit better than I actually was, and didn't have a whole lot of options out of the transfer portal. But then Wofford reached out, and kind of going down there, I went on a visit and, kind of saw the campus, and everything just kind of clicked. And I was like, this is where I'm going to be the most successful. And it ended up being a really good spot for me, which is fantastic.
That's a very, very underrated part of the country where Wofford is. That I love that whole area. I feel like if people aren't familiar with the area or have ever been, like, you got to go. That whole entire area, just up from Atlanta all the way through the eastern coast there, and even in the Virginia area, it's all beautiful. So,
Right.
but for yourself, obviously, being, obviously leading into getting drafted out of Wolford, and something unique as well is, like, obviously being a Brown, you're kind of familiar with the New England area, and you've gotten a little small taste of it. When the Red Sox decided to use a draft pick on you, was it something you were expecting? Was it a little, like, did it catch you off guard? Like, what was that process like for yourself?
I wouldn't say it was either, completely planned or out of the blue. It was kind of a mix of both. I think I was a very kind of late bloomer for the draft class. Didn't really get a whole lot of eyes on me till kind of halfway through the college season. So the first chunk of summer, I was, on calls with a bunch of area scouts and going to a bunch of pre-draft workouts. And so I kind of had a whole bunch of like little lines in the water. So Boston was one of them. And I had a couple connections with Boston. Being up in Rhode Island at Brown was one of them. And then I had pitched a couple times at the Greenville Drive field for our conference tournament. So I figured that might have gotten some eyes on me from um, the Boston side. So wasn't like completely shocked, but also it was a nice surprise.
Yeah, and I didn't know you actually had pitched at the in Greenville Stadium. I think that is I love Greenville, South Carolina. It's a very good spot.
Yeah.
How did you do when you were pitching there?
I did well. It was, conference tournament, so it was kind of do or die games, and I was kind of coming out of the bullpen in high leverage situations. So I had one inning that I loaded up the bases and got out of it, but otherwise, no runs allowed through. I think it was about four or so innings in two appearances. So um, I feel like I did well and gave us a shot to win, but um, unfortunately, it didn't fully work out in the end. But it was a great kind of time and a great experience to kind of get that under my belt to be pitching in that ballpark.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love that. Once you are in pitching in High A for the Red Sox one day, you already got some familiarity with the
Absolutely.
stadium, with the locker room, everything. So, and even the area. So that's a cool thing. We were kind of talking a little bit before we started recording of your draft class, and I'm not sure if you're aware of I guess I don't know if you could tell, I guess, once you got down to the complex and saw all the guys that you share draft class with, but they're putting together an SEC football team with the guys that were
Yes.
drafted, and you are no exception. I see. I don't know if Baseball Reference is accurate, but it's got you listed at 6'5", 235. Is that accurate?
It's a little bit outdated, but
Okay. What do you, if you don't mind, like, what are you at around these days?
I was height wise 6'5" or 6'6". Currently weighing in at about 252.
Okay, we'll give you the 6'6". We'll we're not going to sell you short. So obviously you're aware, after being around a lot of your draft mates, that it's a very, very large, I guess, body class, as in
Yep.
every guy is 6'5", 6'4", 6'6". And it seems like it's been a thing now for a couple seasons. Were you surprised at all that you might not have been the biggest guy after you got drafted?
A little bit, but also, the higher you get, the bigger bodies, you're able to produce a little bit more force. You're able to get a little closer to the plate. You think of like great pitchers and, the Nolan Ryans that are big. A lot of those guys are big, stocky guys. And especially with the way the game is going right now, everyone wants velocity. So, like, that's just kind of what I've grown to expect. And the fact that I try and leverage that, I figured that, other guys in my similar position would also be, kind of sizable, which does turn heads whenever, a group of five of us will walk in somewhere and you're like, oh man, like, who are all these guys?
Yeah, I feel like you guys would probably be pretty noticeable when you guys are maybe possibly going to eat at a restaurant or something down there, and there's a group of five of you, and you guys are all 6'5" and above, and you're like, all right, these guys are something.
Yeah. We've got a couple
Well,
of, are you guys brothers? No, not
yeah.
quite.
Yeah, you don't see it every day. I'm going to be honest. But so yeah, I always hear the phrase, and I know our good pal, Brian Abraham, and his side of things are always more mass equals more gas. I hear that all the time. So I feel
Yep.
like you're kind of preaching it as well. But as far as you, the pitcher, now the guy that the Red Sox drafted, he obviously you have not been seen yet by any fans. You haven't debuted yet. So could you describe like what kind of pitcher you are? Like, what your arsenal looks like, I guess just how you would describe yourself as a pitcher.
I'd say definitely kind of fastball power type pitcher. Um, I've been gaining a lot of velo, especially over the past year, and I'm looking to continue to kind of build that up. Was definitely very fastball heavy last year, and looking to maybe tune that back a little bit, not being so reliant on just fastballs at the top of the zone by guys. Been working on some off speeds with my changeup and breaking ball, but definitely type of guy that I'm going to challenge hitters, not try and kind of be too cute around the edges, and just say my best stuff versus your best stuff.
Okay. I'm going to read you our SoxProspects.com scouting report on yourself. And I hope it's accurate, because if not, we will change it. But I just want to see what you think. So we got your fastball. You topped out at 97 in college. Is that accurate?
Yep.
Okay. You threw the fastball more than 80% of the time in 2025. You have intriguing characteristics, and you miss bats at a really high rate in college. And your pitch has life up in the zone with an IVB above 20 inches at times. Is that all accurate?
That seems accurate to me.
Okay. Wow. All right. I'm going to have to give a pat on the back to our director of scouting, Ian. But so in regards to your fastball, obviously you're getting a lot of swing and miss. You got all the IVB break in it. So like I guess how did you get it to where it is today? Like where did you when did you kind of start shaping that pitch into what it is today?
I wish I could tell you exactly like one kind of point. In college, both at Brown, my first year there was we were kind of learning the TrackMan and kind of what all that data works with, and then at Wofford last year, that was our first year with the TrackMan as well. So didn't really have anything that really stood out, but I had a little bit of experience with it before, and kind of just looking at that, you see, hey, like if your fastball's doing a bunch of different things, which ones kind of play the best? And to me, the ones that were playing the best were the ones that were, backspun with IVB. And I'm like, hey, might try doing that a little bit more. And that kind of helped out, just with the thought process of, hey, I'm going to try and backspin this and try and get it to kind of rise and be powerful. But, my fastball, even in high school, was my primary pitch, and probably was also at about that 80% fastball rate. So I really haven't changed it like that much from the idea of it, but some of the technology has helped kind of fine tune that to understand what is playing the best against hitters.
Yeah, and I feel like you talk to guys today, pitchers that are getting into pro ball, and obviously some guys are coming straight out of high school and they didn't have all the technology and underlying data of all their pitches. They may not have had the facilities to give them that type of information. And then you have like the other side where it's you have guys that potentially like yourself that do see all of the your pitch characteristics. You see all the underlying data. You can actually dig into it a little bit. Would you and I call it a pitching nerd, and that's not a bad thing, because I myself think I could be a pitching nerd as well. And if I was pitching in professional baseball, I'd probably be a pitching nerd. But would you consider yourself more on like that end, where you do like to see all your your data for your pitches and try to tackle it that way? Or are you more down the middle where it's like you're old school and new school all combined?
I don't know. I'd say from when I'm working in the bullpen, I'm definitely kind of the nerd. And I wouldn't even say just pitching nerd, just like general nerd.
Okay.
Kind of with some of the physics and math background, I'm just like, oh, I got to lock in and see kind of what all is happening with the numbers. But kind of once I get into the game, I feel like I've started to do a really good job of just going out there and competing and not worrying about, any percentages or numbers or stats or any of that stuff, and just kind of focusing in on I've got to beat the guy at the plate and try and win every at bat.
Yeah, I feel like it would drive myself crazy if I was constantly looking at all the numbers and everything, and I was trying to just be as perfect as I could be. Like, does that backfire on you at all, or like, do you kind of ride that line?
There's definitely times where it backfires, where you're trying to get a pitch to do something and it's not quite perfect, and you're like, man, I know I'm able to do this. Like I know the numbers say that it should work, right? Like it should be doing this, and it's not. But that's kind of that's pitching and that's baseball in general. Is you're going to fail, so you have to learn how to deal with that failure and overcome it. So, it's kind of a good balance. And I think I'm excited to kind of dive into even more of the like biometric stat type stuff that the Red Sox have that I've never even really seen or used in the past to kind of unlock that next key too.
Yeah, and and something unique that and we've talked about this, but I had Miles Patton on, this show a couple months ago, right after he got drafted, and something that he said to me kind of stuck out, and I was curious if I asked him again today if he'd still think the same way, but he was complimenting the Red Sox on their pitching philosophies that they were very simple, like it was very it was easy to pick up, it was just their pitching philosophies are just very simple. Just throw nasty stuff in the zone. Just like, they just,
Mhm.
they're very transparent, I guess, on what their philosophies are. Have you thought the same way? I guess, what are your thoughts so far on adjusting to, the Red Sox pitching development and all their philosophies?
I think, it's kind of the stats don't lie, right? When you throw strikes, you get more guys out. When you get more guys out, you win more games. Like that's kind of the equation that baseball runs off of, and so there's no real reason to change it. That was kind of one of the reasons why I was so successful at Wofford is I was able to simplify with them, and the pitching philosophy was throw strikes, right? And they weren't even really as concerned with some of the nasty stuff and that metric stuff, which helped me kind of get into the zone. I knew I had some of the nasty stuff. I just needed to fill up the zone. So I think it's a great kind of simple mindset and helps a lot of pitchers. It's very easy to get into your own head in baseball. So the most you can simplify, the better you're going to be. And it's a pretty simple kind of philosophy, like you said, that works out and is easy to say in the game.
Well, looking back at your stats over your college career, and even looking at some of your high school stuff as well, um, you have been no stranger to strikeouts, and I'm sure you've probably been asked about this probably 100 times before. So I do apologize if I am asking you again, but I have to just because I've never talked to you and I'm trying to introduce you to the people.
Hmm.
You went your high school seems like the high school and the area itself. I know DFW area does produce quite a few baseball players and even football players, all that. So they do produce quite a few athletes. But I read up an interesting stat that you broke a strikeout record in high school held by
Yes.
former Red Sox pitcher Dustin May. Did you ever how many times have you been asked that? I got to start with.
Not a whole ton, actually.
Oh,
Well, I really haven't done that much, media stuff in the past, so I haven't had the opportunity to necessarily um, had that asked. But I mean, it's a small enough town that kind of baseball people know, and really the funny part was is he didn't hold the number one record. It was actually my pitching coach at the time who held the number one record over Dustin too. So being able to kind of break both of their records at the same time was nice.
gosh, did you, I guess if he was your current pitching coach, did you at least give him a little jab that you just broke his record while he was there?
Well, I was trying to, and then it was in a playoff game, and his wife was in the stands, like already with the sign and all this stuff, and I was like, oh well, now I can't make fun of him. Um,
Yeah.
but we still have a really good relationship today, so it was really kind of a good moment.
Okay. Yeah. No, I read up and it's like he broke the strikeout record held by Dustin May. And I'm like, that is very funny because at the time you were drafted, Dustin May was literally part of the organization you were a part of. So kind of full circle there. It's kind
Yeah,
of crazy. I know he was a few years before you were there, but still kind of cool.
yeah.
Um, all right, so I like to for my last few questions, I like to shoot off the field a little bit. I got to see how you are off the field, kind of see what you're into, type things like that. So, Something unique about the minor league schedule that you're going to, get used to here in 2026 is you have an off day every single Monday. So I always like asking guys like, hey, if you're not at the field, you're not training, you're not working out, you're not throwing, like you have your own time. Let's just say it's your Monday off day whenever that
Right.
comes around. What do you like to do in your free time?
Well, I'm not used to having a whole ton of free time, so I was kind of, searching for a hobby, and unfortunately, I have fallen into the black hole of golf. Um,
Oh, there it
so,
is.
the other guys kind of, that have been around, they're like, "Hey, like, you want to go golfing?" And I'm like, "Ah, I'm not very good at it." But then you hit one shot, and
It draws
dang
you
it, I'm
in.
hooked. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that is probably how I will be spending most of my Mondays is with some of the other pitchers on the golf course.
Okay. I have to ask because my game is not very good either. So I am not a pro. I don't have a great handicap. I'm not not a shame in any golf games. But I got to know, what is the worst club in the bag?
Um, any club in the bag is the worst club in the bag at this point. Probably the driver because that's what I lose the most balls with.
Okay.
But honestly, at the end of the round, if I still have at least a couple golf balls, I'm happy.
There it is. That's you're just one of us. You're just a normal guy, just like us. I love it. I feel like with your Satcher though, if you get a hold of one off the tee and it goes straight, it probably goes
I,
pretty dang far.
I get a hold of a lot of them, but it doesn't go straight. So
Okay.
um,
That's fair.
I'm still learning on how to kind of swing at that 70 to 80% and put it on the fairway.
Okay, that's fair. Like I said, you're just one of us. You're a normal guy, and I appreciate that because
Yep.
I as well. Me, and every other guy out there has got the same issue. I appreciate that. I really do.
You're welcome.
When you were down, are you into? So obviously, golf is a very, I guess, universal baseball player hobby. I would say because
Yep.
I think almost every baseball player does it. If not, they're in a small minority. Um, Before you maybe got into golf, like were you were you like a video game guy? Were you like did you collect anything weird? Like what else did you have under your belt?
A little bit of video games. I'm not huge into kind of the uh big multiplayer games, like not, Call of Duties and that stuff I'm not really into. So I kind of, was more on the nerd side of video games, but not crazy deep into it. But that's definitely kind of, I guess, if you're looking for something that's like a little bit weird that most baseball guys don't have, I've got a little bit of nerd in me and a little bit of that side of video games.
Okay. Are you like would you consider yourself a superstitious guy?
No, but I am a little stitious.
Okay. People, can you quote the movie it came from?
Oh, shoot. No,
You know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking about, and my dad's gonna absolutely kill me for it.
Oh man. All right. Well, we'll move on, I guess. But I was gonna ask. So there is a pitcher in the Red Sox organization. His name's David Sandlin, and he is an outspoken guy on social media that he is very superstitious about something. The night before he starts, he was in Worcester at the end of the year. He got up to AAA. Every night before he starts, he watches a Star Wars movie, and he usually has like his top three, but he just ranked them on Twitter the other day. So he
Mhm.
has to watch a Star Wars movie the night before he starts. Otherwise, it does not go well. So you don't
Yeah.
have anything like that where it's like you gotta like wear like a certain pair of socks or like you gotta like do something the night before. Like, what's your routine?
I don't know. I feel like I've kind of removed a lot of the superstitions. I was coming out of the bullpen last year, so it's kind of tough to have anything too crazy that kind of is that day before type thing when you're up and ready pretty much every day. So I wouldn't say I have anything that big. You know, Probably there's a couple ticks and routines that I don't even know of that I just have to get some of my fellow pitchers to kind of cue in on. Um, that's like my routine. Um, I guess before I go out in between innings, I'll always say something into my glove. It'll be different
Okay.
every time, but kind of always as I cross the line, I'll cover my mouth and say whatever my thought is, or if I don't like something, I'll say something to myself that so I don't say it to someone else. But
Love
that's kind
that.
of been my routine. Hypes myself up a little bit, but um, also just keeps me dialed in for that next inning.
I was gonna ask, is it happy thoughts or is it like it's a mix? It sounds like it's a little mix. Sometimes it could
A
be
little
positive
mixed.
and yeah.
Yeah, if things aren't going well, I usually try not to actually make it too intense.
Okay.
But if I'm kind of rolling, it's hey, get these guys,
Like, let's go. Let's do
let's go,
this.
let's do this. Yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit more
Okay.
colorful language sometimes, but uh, that's why I don't go mic'd up very much.
That's fair. You're self aware. That sounds. I'm gonna be honest with you. You sound like a closer to me. Like I
Uh,
just had to look. You did have a
yeah.
few saves, but
Hmm.
you sound like a closer to me. And I'm not saying that like obviously if you want to be a starter, be a starter. But like it's a little closerish right there, which is good. But
Yeah,
um,
definitely was buying into the closer mentality last year.
I love that. I mean, I saw you did pick up 4 last year, so that is cool. But yeah, I always feel like those closers they're just like a tick wired differently, and it's like they're the ones always like kind of shouting, getting hyped up, and I love it. I love it every
Yep,
time. All right, I got 2 questions left for you, and I will let you slide. Well, first, are you a food guy?
I am a food guy. Yeah.
Okay. You are also talking to a food guy. I do like asking these questions to guys that I talk to for the very first time because it helps me learn quite a bit about them. I kind of had like a famous question I used to ask, where I would ask somebody about what their Mount Rushmore was, so their top 4.
Yep.
And I am curious what would be so if you had to name your Mount Rushmore, so your top 4 fast food chains, they can be a
Oh.
sit down restaurant or it can be a drive through.
Okay.
And when I say chain, it's got to be like available at least kind of all around the country, maybe not all the way, but like some of the country at least.
That's tough. Top
I'm
4.
putting you on the spot, man. This is a
Yeah.
tough one.
I mean, I feel like there's 2 that kind of got to be on every baseball player's Mount Rushmore, and it's Chick-fil-A and Chipotle. Like
Yep, those are 2. Yeah.
that's a big chunk of every ball players, and not speaking for all athletes, but a lot of athletes.
No, that's
That's
fair.
kind of your top 2. Um, I know you said kind of across the country, but my favorite is Chicken Express, which is a Texas, Oklahoma. It is
We'll take
so
it.
good. Every time I'm home, one of the first places I got to go.
We'll take
Um,
it.
I got to put that on the Mount Rushmore. Um, a 4th one. There's so many just like solid fast food.
Yeah, there's a
Mm.
lot to choose from.
I feel like I got to go for something a little bit more. Oh, does Texas Roadhouse count?
Oh, 100%.
Oh, there you go. Texas Roadhouse.
That's a good man right there. That is a
Yep.
good man. Texas Roadhouse absolutely counts. And I felt ashamed when I went down to Texas and I'm like, is it frowned upon to go to a Texas Roadhouse when I lived there? And they're like, no,
No.
we love it. That one's incredible. Chicken Express. Let me tell you about Chicken Express. I frequented the Chicken Express in Grapevine, Texas, kind of down the road from the airport, probably too often
Mhm.
when I lived there. And Hunter Dobbins, who was a pitcher for the
Yep.
Red Sox, he just got traded actually the other day. He was the one that told me to go to Chicken Express, and he's like, "Listen, this place will change your mind because I'm a Zaxby's guy myself." But he was like, "Listen, Chicken Express will change your life." And he said their sweet tea will put a
Yep.
non-diabetic in a diabetic coma, is how he described it.
Yep.
Their sweet tea was intense,
Yep.
but very good. And man, dude, their chicken, their fries, like it is top notch, man.
The corn
Very impressed.
nuggets.
Corn
Even if you're not
nuggets.
like a chicken fan, the corn nuggets alone, they'll get you.
Never even tried them.
You're gonna have to come back down to Texas and try them.
Man, All right, yeah, I got to put it on the list. Their chicken, my wife was in love. She loved their chicken, so big fan. And I'm glad you put that on there because I always
Yep.
love shouting out Chicken E. All right, I got one last question. It's not a food question. I'm sorry, I got to get a little more serious for the last one. But obviously, we are, we talked about it before. We are getting towards the end of December here and beginning of January, and your report date is fastly approaching. So you're about to enter into your first ever spring training as a professional baseball player. And you're going to have every single player, coach, development staff, everybody's going to be under the same roof for that month and a half, 2 months, however long it is. And so that is one of the most unique times of the baseball season. So for yourself, obviously being a new guy, being your first spring training, what are you looking forward to the most as we head into that?
I think just being able to be a sponge, like there's going to be a ton of guys that know a ton of different things about baseball. And that's kind of one of the joys of the game is, no one person can know absolutely everything about baseball. So just kind of being able to, shoot ideas and be around some of the guys that have been playing the game for a while, have been coaching the game for a while, know things that I don't even know that I don't know about baseball. Just kind of being able to have that big step and try and take as much of it in as possible. I think it's going to be an awesome time, and also can't complain about being down in Florida for the first part of the winter.
Are you just like a tad nervous for being the new kid on the block, or do you think you know what's coming?
I mean, a little bit nervous, but if you don't have nerves, it means you don't care. So I think it's
Ooh,
a good
like
thing.
that. Want to give a big thank you to everybody that did stick around to the end. Obviously, I hope you enjoyed the interview with Carter. I feel like he is a very good fit in the Red Sox organization. He's big, tall, right-hander, throws upper 90s. He's going to fit in just right when he debuts this season. But yeah, and like I said before the podcast started, if you liked what you listened to, what you saw here, please subscribe. It means the world to me. And I will be back with another episode shortly.